everyone! This week is the 4th week in Lent. Lent is a time of turning back to God. Lent is 6 weeks and is a purple season. Purple stands for drawing close to God by opening our hearts in prayer. However, this week is a pink week because we celebrate God's love. This week's gospel is one of the most beautiful stories of God's love for us. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Tax collectors and sinners were all crowding around to listen to Jesus. So the Pharisees and the teachers of the law of Moses started grumbling. "This man is friendly with sinners. He even eats with them." Then Jesus told them this story. Once a man had 2 sons. The younger said to his father, "Give me my share of the property." So the father divided his property between his 2 sons. Not long after that, the younger son packed up everything he owned and left for a foreign country where he wasted all his money in wild living. He had spent everything when a bad famine spread through the whole land. Soon he had nothing to eat. He went to work for a man in that country, and the man sent him out to take care of his pigs. He would have been glad to eat what the pigs were eating, but no one gave him a thing. Finally, he came to his senses and said, "My father's workers have plenty to eat, and here I am starving to death. I will leave and go to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against God in heaven and against you. I am no longer good enough to be called your son. Treat me like one of your workers.'" The younger son got up and started back to his father. But when he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt sorry for him. He ran to his son and hugged and kissed him. The son said, "Father, I have sinned against God in heaven and against you. I am no longer good enough to be called your son." But his father said to the servants, "Hurry and bring the best clothes and put them on him. Give him a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. Get the best calf and prepare it so we can eat and celebrate. This son of mine was dead, but he has come back to life. He was lost and now has been found." And they began to celebrate. The older son had been out in the field, but when he came near the house, he heard the music and dancing. So he called one of the servants over and asked, "What's going on here?" The servant answered, "Your brother has come home safe and sound, and your father ordered us to kill the best calf." The older brother got so mad that he would not even go into the house. His father came out and begged him to go in, but he said to his father, "For years I worked for you like a slave and always obeyed you, but you have never given me a little goat so that I could have a dinner with my friends. This other son of yours wasted your money on bad women, and now he has come home and you ordered the best calf to be killed for a feast." His father replied, "My son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we should be glad and celebrate. Your brother was dead, but now he is alive. He was lost, and now has been found." The Gospel of the Lord. This week's Gospel is often called the story of the prodigal son. What does prodigal mean? It's someone who spends money foolishly and recklessly. But is he the only one who is prodigal in this story? Let's see. Jesus tells the story of a man with 2 sons. One day, the younger one asked his father to give him half of his money. Can you imagine that? Asking your parents to just give you half of what they had? Of course, it's assumed that when the father died, he would give half of what he had to each son. But asking for it while his father was still alive was almost like saying he wished he were dead. The son took the money, left it, and wasted it. He had nothing left, and so he had to take whatever work he could get. He was supposed to take care of pigs. But even the pigs had more to eat than he did. He realized he would have a better life going back and asking his father to be one of his servants instead. He knew he would have to have a big apology. So he started, and while he was on his way, and was still far away, his father spotted him and was so excited to see him and came running and hugged and kissed him. His father had missed him so much, and he was so happy to see him that he immediately forgave his son for leaving and wasting his money. He asked his servants to bring him nice clothes and a ring and sandals for his feet, and to prepare a feast. Can you imagine how the son felt? It must have been surprising and also a relief. Can you imagine how the father felt? This is an example of true love, where even the worst of mistakes are forgiven. This story reminds us of God and how he forgives us, and how God is so happy to be with us that he doesn't care the mistakes we have made. And God surprises us with his goodness. And not only that, God wants us to be restored to being his children. Like the father who wanted his son to have new clothes and shoes and a ring on his finger, God gives us gifts to feel good as his children. But something happened. The older son, who had not made the mistakes the younger one did, heard the music and saw the party and was really mad. He didn't want anything to do with the party, and he was mad at his father that he had worked so hard for him all those years and never got a party. But the father told him he would always be with him, but that they should celebrate that his brother is back. Have you ever been in that situation where it's hard to be happy for someone because you can't forgive something they've done? Sometimes it's hard not to be jealous when others are celebrated if we think we should be celebrated too. But the father, like God, saw it differently. The older son already had his reward being with him, and that's like us too. We want to live our lives with God, and that's already a reward to be with God every day. And when someone wants to also live with God, we should celebrate. So who was prodigal? The younger son for sure. He spent his father's money. But the father also spent foolishly and recklessly. Look at that. He spent his love on his son who had been mean to him. God too spends his love on us even when we don't return it. And the older son, he spent recklessly too. He threw away his good feelings of being with his father and let jealousy take over. So where have you seen the younger son in your life? Maybe something you've done? Maybe something others have done? Where have you seen the father? Where have you seen the older son?